Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I'm so blessed and honored to be here with my good friends, Chuck White, President of International Association of Movers, and Brian Limperopulos, Vice President, International Association of Movers. How are y'all doing today?
Wonderful, wonderful. Great to be in your presence, sir.
It's good to have y'all. Every time y'all are on the show, it's always great. It's always great to have y'all here. So really nice. I'm super excited because just 2 months ago, we were chilling in Toronto. I say chilling. We were working really hard. Actually, some long days. But we were planning this IAM conference that's coming up this fall, and I'm just pumped about it. How are y'all feeling?
I'm feeling amazing about it. It's interesting how early we're talking about this, don't you think? I mean, normally we're not into the June time frame and saying we're opening up things, and man, we're well into the planning and well into the registration process.
Yeah, we are. It is early, Brian. Yeah, doesn't it feel like we're ahead of schedule? But it seems like it's been done with intention. And I want to get into that. I want to get into the hotel situation. I want to get into all the cool things that people can expect. I want to get into all of that. I want to maybe brainstorm some content, some sessions as we talk about kind of the future of moving. There's all sorts of stuff that people need to know, and I want to get into all of it. But I want, if you're watching this right now, hit that like button, get in the comments. I want to know who you are, where you are. Check in with us now. If you've been to an IAM conference before, what is your favorite part of the conference? What are you most looking forward to? If you haven't been, what questions do you have for Chuck? What questions do you have for Brian? I want to know what y'all are thinking out there. People are checking in on LinkedIn right now here. This is great. We got Sandra Clare. You love Sandra, right? Howdy, y'all.
Always one of our biggest supporters. Gotta love EDC, man. I tell you.
They always bring it, don't they?
They do. They do.
We got Drew Phillips, gentlemen, and I use the term loosely when speaking about Ben.
Slander.
That was the old 1-2 right there, man.
I mean, is it wrong if it's right? I don't know. Mark Gray, what's up, Mark, fellow recruiter? The mover recruiter, also a great supporter of IAM. Great to see 3 of my favorite industry professionals. Hello from Atlanta. What's up,
Mark? Mark's always breaking the good news here. I swear, he's a news breaker.
Mark has been doing some really great content. I had the pleasure of actually meeting Mark Gray for the first time. I've known Mark via telephone, email, his great newsletter. I've known him for 10 years or something plus. And I got the chance to meet him for the first time at the IAM conference in Atlanta.
There you go. Hometown for him. That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was super cool to be able to connect. And then I got a chance to interview him in the expo hall at IAM 360, which was great. And Mark has sponsored all sorts of stuff now, and he's making content as well for the membership too. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we had a great session with Mark last month, I guess, on recruitment, retention, and with your workforce. Good session with Mark with our DAB group.
Yeah, I want to know what types of sessions. If you're watching this right now, I want to know what type of sessions you're looking for, what you're excited about. Mark's talking about these mover search groups committed to sponsor the DAB reception. Hit me up for some adult drinks, he says. All right.
Well, that's not something you have to worry about at our conference. Access to adult beverages is everywhere.
Yeah, and we love the fact that Mark's supporting the DAB reception, but I do want to clear things up. Mark Gray is not the only place to get a drink at the IAM conference. Okay, Mark, we appreciate you buying the drinks, buddy. I really do. I'll definitely be drinking your Bud Lights, my friend. 100% there. We got Scott Chapman. Chappie's in the house. Good afternoon, gentlemen, from Prime Lending.
Afternoon.
Rick Hosea, great talk. I got the chance to meet Rick for the first time in person, as well at the it was the YP event.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see Rick at the California Moving and Storage Association meeting in May. Brian and I both are going out there. So, Rick, get it warmed up for us, brother.
I don't know if
it's not hard in Palm Springs.
I don't know if I like that LinkedIn pic though, Rick.
Are you?
Oh, yes. Oh, you know
Right?
what? I like Rick even more now.
That's just
Repping those
unnecessary.
Cowboys.
Are they going to lose to the 49ers again in the playoffs this year, guys?
Really? You want to go there?
Brian.
Dig it right in.
Let's
It's
go.
going to get ugly.
Let's go.
It's going to get ugly when there's a repeat of that game, but with a different result.
Can't wait.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
I agree. Let's see. We got people checking in. We got Vinny Valverde checking in. Happy Friday, gents. Nice to see you all. Good to see you, Vinny. Hit that like button.
I'm trying to get the invite to Vinny's house because Vinny can cook, man. Vinny is a serious cook.
He cooks in every way at the Valverde house when the party's going on. Look at this. Yeah, this is great. Sandra's going to be a CMSA. Awesome. And Shana is actually flying. She's in the air. She's looking forward to the Toronto conference. She's on her way to Dublin right now. Very cool. Yeah. Viva Van Bockel says, great to see you too, Ben. When are you going to be back in Europe? That's a great question, Viva. Hopefully in the fall, possibly. I'm not sure. It's stuff had to send John out to the Euro conference. Let's get into it a little bit here. Viva's saying we love the Thai food, Joan.
Oh yeah, we had lunch together in Bangkok, Thailand during the FIDI meeting. Great meeting with Viva, and man, he can pick the places too. Awesome.
Yeah, really. Chris Murphy checking in. TJF. Chris, still haven't found that Philippine food here in Dallas. Let me know if you got a recommendation. Vinny's extending the invitation. Chuck, May 2nd at Vinny's house, he says.
Wow. That doesn't give me much time to plan, but I'd love to get there, buddy.
Jason checking in here from USI Law. Let's get into it. So registration is open now for the IAM conference in October. Why did you open it so early this year? I'm pretty excited about it. How's the reception been so far?
Yeah, I mean, we were forced to do that. So what we came to understand from member feedback was how difficult it was going to be for a number of members, attendees from certain countries around the world, because the visa process is pretty onerous getting into Canada. Easy for the U.S., flash your passport, come on through, we're good to go. By the way, you U.S. citizens, you need a passport to get to Canada. So make sure you get that and start the process early. But we found out how difficult it was. Some of the requirements are you've got to show your registration for the conference. You've got to show that you've got a hotel booking before you can even start the process to get a visa for many countries. So that's why we had to. What
countries are impacted here? Because the U.S. is not that way. You do need a passport, but what countries might be watching where that is the case?
Oh my God! It's all. So I can give you regions. A huge number of countries in Africa, a huge number of countries in the Middle East, in the subcontinent region, Pakistan, that type thing. There are some Asian countries that are affected by this as well. There's a list on our conference website of all the countries that you do need to go through the full visa process to get into Canada, and you need to start it now. So get your registration, get your hotel set, and then start to go through the process, because we've been told it can take anywhere from 4 to 6 months to be able to go through the entire process. So you got to.
What about like Brazil or Netherlands?
There are some
come to mind, or do we?
Netherlands, I don't think so, but I do know that Brazil has. Yes, it needs a visa to be able to get in, but there are a few exceptions. I think that they have noted. So again, you need to check that list. I mean, there's 50, 60, 70 countries on that list that have to go through this process. So we really felt under the gun to make sure that we could open the door to just about anybody that wants to get to the meeting. So we had to start early, and kudos to the team that works on our meeting with us, Meeting Management Services. Ben, you know those guys. They really jumped to the front and put together our website, which I think looks great, and all of the details that are necessary. We're following up with more information here on other topics, but we got the general registration open, and our exhibit hall and different sponsorship opportunities are already up as well.
Yeah, and Ben, I dropped that link, for anybody who might be curious about the visas. I dropped that link in the chat on LinkedIn or the comments, so that if they want to see directly, we got a pretty nice place on our website where people can go to access that.
Yeah, that's great. And Vinny's saying, great job, IAM. Great effort to start early to allow enough time to obtain the travel documents. Yeah, our global mobility people really understand this problem. So it seems like every country has huge delays of getting passport renewals. Vinny, if you're watching this right now, what are you seeing from a U.S. standpoint? Because I got to get my passport renewed. How long is that taking? I want to know. John Chesnowski says Brazil's online visa. If you have a U.S. visa without the USA visa, the process needs more actions.
So
that's nice.
Ben, on the passport, I applied to get my kids a passport first week in January to travel April 1. We had to go downtown at the last minute, get passports for the kids on March 29th because we couldn't get through to anybody. Nobody was picking up the phone. And it seems like there is a real bad backlog with U.S. passport processing. So I think if you need a renewal or you don't have a passport and you're coming to Canada, you got to get on that process right now.
So that was 3 months. You were saying you still had to go downtown and take action. So
yeah, and I was going on like
3 months.
I was going on like Reddit, seeing what other people's experiences were, and it seemed to be like it was rife with those problems.
Okay, yeah, Vinny's weighing in here. He's saying 10 to 13 weeks for routine processing. Sandra's got some visa tips. Look at this. This group is so on top of stuff right now. Okay, so we understand we got to take action now. No matter what your situation is, take action now to make sure you're eligible. But I want to get into some of the other really cool stuff that we're looking forward to this year. And I want to also take a moment. Can we maybe do like a quick little
we have to pray
thing? Well,
okay.
If you want to say a few words, it's never a bad idea to pray. I mean, but if Jason's saying take 4 months, yeah. I want to know if you're watching this right now. I want to put some things out there to the ground. If you're watching this right now, we're developing the content for the conference right now. I know Chuck and Brian are working on this right now. What is one topic that you want to see discussed? If you could just wave your magic wand right now and create a conference topic for the IAM conference in Toronto in October, what is one thing that you want to see us unpack? If I can say unpack it. I'm going to ask you, we got Mark here coming in, and put your other questions in there as well. What's one thing you want to see discussed? Chuck, what's on your mind if you're a conference goer right now? What do you want to hear?
Well, it's a topic that I've been working on for probably the last 6 months, and I haven't done a great job of bringing Brian into this discussion, but I'm part of a 6-organization coalition that's focused on sustainability in the mobility space. And that for sure is a discussion topic that's got to be had. And I say that because it's, number one, the right conversation to have. But number two is regulations coming right at us. It's happened in the European Union. It's being discussed within the U.S. government, and it is obviously a worldwide issue that we're going to have to address. Let's focus on that as an industry and plot the way ahead and come up with some potential solutions, stopgap measures, before those are dictated to us by government entities. So I think we've got to all in the mobility space get on the same page regarding sustainability.
That's a good one.
All right, you didn't look like you were too excited about that topic.
No, it's a good one. It's a good one. I'm deciding, do I want to unpack that here a little bit, or do I want to just take that and take a bunch of other ideas, right now? I think, because that's a long conversation.
Oh, sure. No, I think it's definitely, we got to get more.
And how do we enact that across continents, across a highly fragmented supply chain of movers? I mean, that is a really hairy problem to tackle.
No
but I
doubt.
mean, it's great
No
that
doubt.
we're working across associations.
Yep. It is a hairy problem. There's no question about it. It's a worldwide problem. The issues of ESG, I'm learning a whole new vocabulary as we delve into this. And I didn't know what I didn't know. And working with this group of associations, a great group of people, great group of leaders, I really have come to understand just how big a problem this is.
Yeah, it really is. I was actually at a small conference yesterday, and we heard from a professor in France who was giving us some very eye-opening statistics and reminded us that even if our neighbor isn't doing something, we need to do something, because every small action counts. So,
Yep. No doubt about it.
Really good stuff. Brian, what is on your mind? And if you're out there watching, throw your topic in the comments. Brian, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? So
You're a conference goer.
I think one of the big initiatives for us this year is we just launched a new designation for IAM called the IAM Trusted Moving Company Initiative. And that is kind of the theme, that is the theme of our conference. It's talking about the power of trust. And so we developed this designation to kind of bestow it on companies who are willing to go above and beyond in our membership and voluntarily abide by a set of conditions that would bind their hands a little bit. But ultimately, we felt like it would convey this sense of trust in the marketplace, both as a service provider as well as a company that's paying for services. And so we're really excited about this initiative, and we started it at our conference in Atlanta. We've signed up 66 companies so far. We have 100 companies in the pipeline, so we're getting close to 10% of our membership. And it's really demonstrating how much our members want to make a commitment to their customers, both their fellow IAM members as well as their customers, COD customers, RMCs, the military, what have you. And their willingness to set themselves apart in the marketplace. So it's a very exciting program. It's just at the first phase, but it has so much capacity and potential to evolve. And something that we deal with regularly here in the United States is rogue operators. And we're really looking at this program as a potential solution to that problem of rogue operators in the domestic moving market. So again, we're at the first step, but we're very excited about this program, and it's going to be something that we're talking a lot about at this conference coming up this year.
I really love it. I love it. I look at what the real estate industry has with the realtor designation, and basically you have to be a realtor to be a realtor. And they've made it synonymous,
Yeah.
And and I think it elevates what we do to the level of kind of a craftsman, to a craft.
That's
right. And not like a hustle, like, hey, I got a truck and a couple of t-shirts, I'm gonna be a mover, And I think that's where we need to get with it, because if you look at other countries, right, that's how they've elevated. Mark Gray hits the nail on the head here. He says IAM needs to continue their good work with the Trusted Mover program, which goes a long way towards differentiating legitimate movers instead of the scammers. This would be a good topic to continue to address in Toronto. And I see FMCSA lately has really come out, and Pete Buttigieg and all the, he leads the with Department of Transportation, right? Secretary of Department of Transportation. And I mean, it's really neat to see this topic being elevated to a national policy level.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think you said it, Ben. I think I saw a comment from you though. It's very reactive, right? There, it's all enforcement that's reactive. And I think one of the promises of this program is getting in front of the customer. And it's not going to happen tomorrow, but getting in front of the customer, educating them. And that's, if you look at what an association should do, I absolutely think that's the direction we should be going. And that's where we are going.
Well, because Oh, sorry, Chuck. Go ahead, please.
No, I was just saying part of our strategic plan, one of the elements of it is to raise the professionalism of the moving industry. And this is one of our initiatives that we've taken to be able to reach that goal. And so we're holding this out to our members and saying, let's elevate ourselves. Let's be better. Let's continue to work to set ourselves apart and increase the professionalism. So
yeah, right on. Because and get in the comments right now. We're talking about what topics you want to see covered at the IAM conference in Toronto. What do you want to see on the main stage? What do you want to be see being discussed out there? What is an important topic that we need to unpack? I'm going to keep using this unpack thing. I think that's really good, if I do say so myself.
That's appropriate for our industry, don't you think?
Yeah, we got to unpack it. That's what we got to do. But I think you're right, and I just want to make one more point on this, is that if we wait till our stuff is on the truck, if a customer waits till their stuff is on the truck of a bad actor, it's like the toothpaste is out of the tube, right? The shipment's on the truck, it's like it's too late, at that point. Now we're just calling the hotline and telling on people. We need to do things that are proactive. I met somebody from the FMCSA last year. And I don't know, I might have had a Bud Light at me, but I was like, listen, let's get a sting operation going on here.
I saw that. I saw you said that.
I'm down. Let's go. Like I'll dedicate a day. We got
you could be like Chris Hansen.
I will. I'll to catch a rogue. I'll start showing up.
I think there's a show there, man.
Hey, I'm down. Let's do it. Anything.
We'll go to Florida.
That's where they're at. That's so funny. But I mean, it's so.
All right,
so
moving on.
All right, moving on. Little pun there. Okay, we got a couple more ideas here too. Vinny says, how to improve the customer experience during a super high stress period of relocation. Interesting. Looking into opportunities to add technology to the process. Get rid of the bingo sheets, he's saying.
Chuck, you love bingo sheets.
I love those things.
Chuck's going to be retiring on bingo soon. I mean, I don't know if he's getting into the bingo sheets, I think.
Oh, I'm going to be at the volunteer fire department. No doubt about it, man. Bingo.
He's going to have like 5 daubers going at one time, He's going to... I'm just kidding.
But I don't think that's the bingo sheet that Vinny's talking about, but okay. Different bingo.
But I
what
got to
say... What do you think about technology?
I mean,
that's something we can talk about?
It's something that... There have been a lot of efforts over the years, and one thing that Chuck, you and I have been talking about, and it seems like forever. But Ben, you said it earlier. I think we exist in a very fragmented industry, and we have so many of our members are using different software systems, and exchanging data is a real problem in our industry. Coming in from the customer, and it depends on which customer, into that first prime contractor down the supply chain. So that's certainly something our technology committee is looking at, is how do we facilitate the exchange of data throughout the moving ecosystem, and then perhaps if that's a solution, perhaps the whole relocation ecosystem. But we got to line up powerful players and have that discussion. And that's quite a big discussion. And then, if you're able to solve that problem, I think forms are used just to capture data, right? And, if we're able to solve some of these underlying issues with technology, maybe we don't need as many forms. Maybe we can exchange data more seamlessly between the various stakeholders in the industry and reduce the cost of doing business, and maybe improve the customer outcomes for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, in a very real way, when you talk about reducing the cost of business, if a coordinator can handle 150 moves a year or 250 moves a year, there's a very real cost to that. And a lot of that's duplication of data entry and things like that, and putting things on static forms and then typing them over here, and then they live like in these flat PDFs and things like that. So I think that's a huge opportunity, and you're spot on, Brian, because now we're bringing all these van lines and all these major bookers and all these relocation management companies and corporate HR people like Vinny to the table, and the data starts in their HRIS system.
Yep.
Right. So the data starts there. It gets initiated to the RMC. The RMC sends it to the booker. The booker sends it to the OA, the shipping line, the DA, and so on and so forth. Right. And so we all have to kind of come together and at the table and really say, we're going to make an effort to share data with, frankly, people we might deem to be competitors. But it's what we need to do in order to propel us forward as an industry.
Yeah, and we just completed a member needs assessment, and there were two things that were highlighted as the top 2 pain points for our members, and it's keeping up with changes in technology and kind of supply chain issues, finding the right partner to work with, and I think keeping up with changes in technology is certainly going to be one of the sessions that we have on the schedule. I'd love to get Vinny involved in that, get a client perspective involved up in Toronto.
Let's
sorry,
talk
Chuck.
No, I'm good. No, you're great, Brian. Hey, you're the man. Let's talk a little logistics if we could, Ben. Yeah, the logistics of this conference are going to be a bit different than our normal situation. So we typically are in a big box hotel that we can fit thousands and thousands of people in. And in Toronto, that type of space is not available. So we're going to be doing a convention center format, and there are 4 hotels that we will be utilizing in that environment. Oh my God, what's going on there, Ben? You got somebody beating the pots and pans? Oh, that's you, Brian.
No, I'm on mute, man. That's your boy. I'm on mute over here, okay?
Like something's going on here, man.
That's President-elect Limperopulos right there.
He's got to do a better job controlling his kids. He can't run an association if he can't control his own children. My God. So anyway, we've got 4 hotels that we're going to be utilizing in this environment in Toronto. We're going to be in a convention center. We've got 3 hotels that are almost attached to, that are adjacent to this central convention center, and then 1 more that's a block and a half down the street. We have done the convention center format in the past. We did it in Long Beach, California. We did it the last time we were in Canada when we were out west in Vancouver. But I think this is going to be a little bit better because it's much more compact. It's much more concentrated. The hotels are right there together. So I think it's going to work out even better than our previous experiences in a convention center format.
Yeah, I mean that's a big question, right? I mean, let's get to the question that's like really on people's minds. Like, where's the bar? I mean, I hate to boil it down to this. I know people are trying to justify this with bosses and whatnot everywhere, but this is what we do. We do hard hitting journalism here. Okay,
I got you. Well, it is a great question.
Where's the bar?
So there's 2 things that are going to happen. So we last year were in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Hyatt Regency there in Atlanta. It turned out to be a good property for us, but the footprint for the exhibit hall was about 25,000 or so square feet. And to say it was cramped, well, that's probably an understatement. This year, we're going to have about 150,000 square feet that we have access to for our exhibit hall. And it opens up a world of possibilities. One of them being, I think it's going to be an amazing setup. A bar in the exhibit hall, open all day long with all kinds of seating. It's going to be kind of like a German beer hall, if you will, and it's going to be Prost. The Steins will be going, buddy. But I think during the day, we're really going to try to draw people into that area with food, with drink, with entertainment in that area. So we're really, really excited about that for during the day. And then at night, first off, all those 4 hotels have great bars in them. And we are right in city center Toronto. So there's nothing but bars and restaurants all around. Where people end up, I'm not sure I can tell you that right now. There's no central bar per se, but one of the hotels, the Fairmont, is one of the old hotels in the city, the established hotels, 100 years old in Toronto, that's been redone, renovated many times, but still has that old world feel. Ben, you've been there, you know. And I have a feeling they've got 3 bars that at least there that I think will draw some pretty serious attention. But there are going to be so many pockets all over that city, roving bands of movers that are going to be out and about throughout the city.
Rowdy bands of movers wearing I Am Trusted t-shirts, roving around downtown Toronto.
Taking over.
That's going to be a heck of a conversation starter, right? You roll into a bar with an I Am Trusted t-shirt on. You're like, I'll be
trusted for what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's really Aaron Allman says those that wear heels, thank you for the short walking distance. Yeah, so if we can just get like a recliner for Miss Almond where she can just kind of sit back and hold cool.
Aaron, we'll have some shuttle buses available as well for the ladies in the heels if that's necessary. But I mean, a couple of those hotels are literally attached to the convention center. So you can, and we have different price points at all the different hotels. So we're trying to meet the needs of every individual attendee to find what best fits what they're looking for.
Yeah. Mark's over here also asking which hotel you guys staying. I need to get with you guys in Toronto. I want to eliminate as much walking as possible. I threw out my back.
Oh no.
That's how I imagine Mark saying it. But
yeah,
my take on it when I was there, my take on it as a well-heeled conference goer. Well-heeled, that means I'm rich.
I'm
not rich. I just wore out my heels walking. You ever get shoot anyway. All right. So but I look at it like this, because Toronto is connected by 13 miles or something or of underground tunnels, right? And so they're all coming off of this conference center. So even if it's October, right? So we don't know. Maybe it's drizzly or whatever. You can just go right in and step down and come right back up into the hotel of a lot of, I think 3 out of the 4 or all 4 maybe of these hotels are connected to the convention center, which is great, first of all. And the other thing that struck me is I think the Fairmont Hotel, I think, has the best bars, from just a cool factor, an ambiance factor, whatever. And it has the largest block of rooms, I think.
Correct.
That's correct.
The Intercontinental has probably a more typical bar layout where it's kind of like this long, round kind of bar. You can kind of like look down the thing and say, hey, I'm buying one for Chuck, one of those, or like Chuck,
take that
tab, right? One of those kind of deals, you got that typical situation. And so I think the Intercontinental and the Fairmont, if I'm guessing, are probably my, but man, that bar over at the Marriott City Center overlooks the Blue Jays stadium. It looks right into it's like it's in the stadium.
It's not overlooking the stadium. You look at and can watch a ball game right there in that bar. So that's really has a cool vibe to it too.
Yeah. And then the other one too had a whiskey bar. And so there's a lot of really cool places. And here's the cool thing too. We're talking about this in April. So if your company is interested in hosting like a party or something, you can still get with, IAM, Katya, call me up if you need information or whatever. And we could probably work something out where there's kind of a custom sponsorship or some sort of a little event we could probably put together for you to make sure that your party's the featured place to be.
There are a number of Canadian companies that are embracing this. I mean, they are going full speed ahead with trying to have events there to welcome the world to Toronto. So I'm really excited for them because they're going to be putting on multiple events. I know I'm not going to start trying to let the cat out of the bag, but I know somebody's going to the Hockey Hall of Fame and having an event there. If you don't do anything while you're in Toronto, get a chance to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's a great venue. It is a cool, interactive museum event space. Oh, it's spectacular.
It's spectacular, and the company that's doing it, I'm not going to say names here, but really knows how to put an event together. So that's going to be killer, and it's connected by those underground tunnels too. So wherever you're at, you're like just a hop, skip, and a jump away from wherever you need to be.
And I'll jump in. We just signed the contract today on the YP mixer venue, and it's right around the corner from the Hockey Hall of Fame, right after that event.
Are you at liberty to divulge the location of said event?
Yeah, it's a place called the Walrus Pub and Lounge. And so it's really close to where we're going to be. It's really close to the Fairmont, I believe. So we're going to be very centrally located, be very easy for people to get there. So if you've registered,
don't go back to their hotel.
Yeah. If you've registered, not bought tickets, go ahead, buy tickets. If you're a YP, you get in for free. So that's always a very fun event each year.
I'm literally Googling the Walrus right now and checking this out here.
Are we going to lose him in his online searches?
Is it okay if I just like start working on my registrations and my stuff?
Sure, that'd be great. We might know somebody who can.
We'll take your money.
Yeah, all right, I'll send it. Let's see. We got Megan Harless jumping in. Hi, gentlemen, tuning in late. What's up, Megan?
We're gonna have Megan Marless.
Marless. We're gonna call her Marless from now on.
That's who we gotta call her. We're gonna have Megan, I think, doing another spouse panel for us. I'm very interested in what she has to say. I think most folks that would be on here know about the new household good contract, the global household good contract for the U.S. military. That's going to be a hot topic of discussion at the conference. You'd ask what people want to talk about. That's going to be one, because literally they start rolling out shipments in that transition piece of the program in September, just weeks before we start the conference. So my, oh my, we're going to have some serious discussions about that transition. So happily to put together another military spouse panel. Thank you.
Chuck, you're so right. I mean, the time is now to make the connections that will last I'm not going to say a lifetime. I'll say a contract period, though, because you got a 7-year contract that got awarded for, I think it was 7 years, for like $19 billion. So there's a lot of hay to be made, and it's all happening like in the fall, right? So like it's time to like start shaking hands and kissing babies and making deals here. So there's a lot of things that are changing right now. Megan says, I can definitely find a spouse who is in the GHC transition to join.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Interesting.
Let's do it.
We've got a question here for you, and put those questions in the comments right now. If you've got questions for Brian or Chuck or myself, you just want to say, what were you thinking? I mean, whatever you want to do. I mean, like Sandra here. I thought what we did here was reckless speculation, Ben. Let's not go getting highfalutin with hard-hitting journalism. That's a fair
I like reckless speculation.
That's what we peddle here. We're not real news. We're entertainment. Jason Hall.
What can we recklessly speculate about?
Oh, we could probably speculate on the winner of the GHC. Sorry, that's last year's old news. Jason says, okay, here we go. Let's recklessly speculate on this one. Jason Hall wants to know, what is the benefit of this conference for an immigration law firm? Oh.
Well, that's interesting. Okay, here's what I'll say. We need more information. We need more visibility on many of the programs that the U.S. government has. I'm talking about U.S. government now, to get people in to support the moving industry. All of the different visa immigration processing through the U.S. State Department, through the Department of Commerce, through the other entities. And so, man, I think that an immigration law firm could set up a desk right in the middle of the lobby and say, come to me, because I've got all the answers to be able to get you excess personnel to be able to handle your busy peak season. So, I mean, that's one thing that an immigration law firm could do for us. That's for sure.
Might I speculate? I'd like to throw my hat in the ring in this reckless speculation. Jason, I think that there's a few angles here. One, you're going to have, a couple handfuls of, relocation management companies that are there. Some of which you may do business with now, and a lot of which you probably don't do business with now. So that's one, and they're going to be senior level decision maker or supply chain people that are there. Okay, so either way, they're decision makers. So that's one obvious thing. The second thing is you may need partners around the world to handle your immigration. And how many countries do we think are going to be represented, guys?
Well, we have 170 countries in our membership, and we had last year 110 of those countries represented at our conference. That it has more of an international flavor than almost any conference you'll ever go to.
And just really quick, Ben, you got to realize some of those people who attend have control over offices in many different countries. We have, the AGSs, the Move Ones of the world, the Global Links. They may not be attending from Kyrgyzstan, but they have an office there. And so the reach and really is, I would say 170, 180 countries if you're connecting with the right people.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? And I think one of the biggest, there's a couple of misconceptions about the IAM population, but one of them is that they're just movers, because a lot of these companies from these different countries, you start talking to them, they're DSPs, destination service providers. They handle housing in there. They handle immigration matters. They handle all sorts of stuff, right? So you might, if you're, your company, I think you're a consultant for USI Law, right? Great firm out of the DC area that does immigration globally. You might need a service provider in Turkmenistan, right? For example. But they might also have people that need to come into the US 100%. And they need a U.S. immigration. So there's all sorts of connections. And I think there's so much untapped potential. If you're from areas of relocation, not just moving, there's areas you can come in here and you can be like, And the best part is you're not tripping over 24 of your competitors, right? Because that's one of the knocks I hear on other types of conferences in the relocation space is, but there's 80 competitors and 5 clients, right? It's like, not at IAM. So that's kind of
cool. Here. I mean, I talked previously about some of the visa stuff, getting in for work permits. The H-2B program is a program that many of our movers utilize, but so many more don't know a thing about. And we're crying about talent. We're crying about people to do the work that has to be done. Can't find them in the U.S. And so this is a great way to be able to bring the workforce into the U.S. to support the moving industry during our busy season. But so many people don't know how to do it, don't know anything about it, and are looking for help in that area.
Really, really great points. Really great points. And I love the questions here. Keep them coming. We got Inigo from Spain in the house. He does language. That's awesome. Big shout out to you, Inigo. David Yakum. I used to work with David. He says Coleman will be represented at the conference. We would like topics on how to have brokers and criminals prosecuted and eliminated from the industry and have a way to report the criminals to the DOT. David's like, just give me the cuffs. Give me, new sheriff in town, David Yakum, deputize him.
Bring him up to sting.
Well, we typically have the DOT representatives, Federal Highway and Safety Administration folks there and they will be talking about that. So, David, you want to get into a discussion with them and let's talk about finding solutions to these problems. Hey, I will tell you, one thing that we're hearing is the FBI is involved now, because what they are finding is that this is really an outlet for organized crime at this point. And it is something that's been under the surface, under the radar, but now the FBI and other government legal entities are getting involved in this because it is really, really affecting consumers to a significant degree. And these are interstate
organized scams, organized crime, interstate scams.
100%. That's exactly what it is.
Susan Marie Sesse says, "Do you have someone from Sierra Leone?" She'd like to connect.
I do believe we do have a member or two from Sierra Leone. Is Susan from Sierra Leone?
Susan runs an orphanage for girls called Save the Young Girls Foundation.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Love to find out about that.
Yeah, it's really cool. Ernest Pena says, chiming in late. Yes, you are. But hey, it's all right. You're within the ETA window, Ernest.
But don't be late to the conference. That's all I'd say.
Well, so Ernie's a driver, and represents drivers.
Yeah. Of course, so, I know Ernest.
Is there a play for drivers does it make sense for a driver to come all the way out to the IAM conference?
That is a discussion topic. So we've had this discussion for about the last 12 months or so. We need to find an entry point for drivers into our organization. It has typically been a corporate membership for our organization, company membership. But we're looking to figure out a way, maybe through what we call our domestic asset-based mover group, to be able to bring at first U.S. drivers into the fold to let them have a voice in our organization. So more to follow on that. That is definitely a topic we are discussing internally.
I found drivers usually interested through the front door of the garage.
That was poignant.
Yeah, no problem. I just want to show that I understand drivers. Ernie's a great person. Ernie says 300X Academy and network co-founder with Juan Mata.
Yeah, I follow them. I follow them very closely on Facebook and the Facebook group. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll just be quiet for the rest of the show then. Megan doesn't like my jokes. This is Viva saying it'll be a great conference. In my view, it's difficult times for the industry at the moment and important for IAM to facilitate the conversation and take the lead on the topics which matter. Don't wait. Let's go.
Yeah, we've been having
what do you say to people that say it's a tough time in the moving industry?
I would say we're transitioning. And I think with instability sometimes comes possibilities. Ooh, I like that. I might have to use that somewhere.
You're going to altar call here? Are we going to pass the plate?
I'm going to steal that.
Can I get an amen?
Amen, preach, Brother Chad.
But, I thought at the beginning of the pandemic, oh my goodness, this is the end of the world. And I couldn't have been more wrong, because when we were determined to be, number one, essential workers, number two, people started to be able to understand what a remote workforce what the possibilities of that were. Holy cow, the moving industry was robust during the pandemic. And really, rather than being a death nail for our industry, it turned out to be a boon for the industry. Now, we're dealing with some real estate issues right now. We're dealing with problems with inflation, problem with interest rates, those kinds of things. Oh, okay, again, I'm back to what I was talking about. With this instability, there comes possible advantages that people can take advantage of, advantages they can take advantage of, opportunities they can take advantage of. So, I don't know. I think we're in a period of transition. I think we're trying to understand what the future holds for not just moving, but mobility as a full end-to-end industry. And I think the cream will rise to the top. I think those that embrace change will come out of this smelling like a rose. And unfortunately, there probably are going to be some that fall by the wayside.
Bring up a really good point, though. COVID, on the one hand, almost killed us, as an industry. But it also gave us some of the best years we've had in decades. I mean, people were doing stuff at near 0% discounts at one point in the military side. These are the kind of stories I used to hear about. Well, back in my day, we didn't have discounts. It was, a full tariff, back in the 1980, and I'm like, and now here we are in 2021 and we're doing, or 2022. and we're doing stuff like, kind of, I mean, so
Well,
on the, you're right.
yeah.
100% right.
Well, we level set for a second and we stood back and said, okay, what are we doing to ourselves? We've got to be able to price our products and services appropriately. And we saw the rise in fuel. We saw the rise in wood and cardboard. We saw the rise in all the things that we utilize in our industry. And we said, you know what? We've got to make sure that I didn't even get into the rise in ocean shipping costs. But we've got to be able to reconfigure. We've got to be able to reset what our minds are thinking about. And we have finally started to price our services in a way that makes sense and not just cut each other's throats and with all of these giant discounts, et cetera. So I'm happy about that. But now we've got to also provide the service, the level of service that our customers are expecting or coming to expect. And because of that, I do think, we'll price it right, but we're going to have to rise to the top here.
It's really interesting. We talk about these kind of macro forces that are at play here. And there's another huge disruptor coming down the pipe. And that's AI, machine learning, robotics. I mean, Tom takes it to the nth degree here and says robots will take the blue collar jobs in a few years. AI will take the white collar jobs, less in the movie industry compared to other industries. But I mean, this is a major disruption force, AI, machine learning, robots probably next. But I mean, are your constituents talking about this at IAM? Is this something that we're going to bring up at the conference? What are your thoughts?
No, Brian is. I'm going to let Brian take on that. I'm too old to understand AI.
I mean, in one sense, it's incredibly exciting. The potential that's out there. It's also very scary. I think Tom hits on some of the anxieties there, and a point that was made at the FEDE meeting, which I've thought about, is the ability for this AI to kind of reduce the need for the white collar workforce. Immediately it enables you to write things like that, put in a bunch of notes, and it spits out something that's very well crafted, well written, and you see all types of examples on the software side where people can just put in specific requirements and it spits out the code. Now, I'm not smart enough to know whether or not that code is right, but the people who I trust to be smart enough on that are saying it. So I think Tom brings up a pretty good point in the comments that, I do think it is definitely a disruptor to the white collar workforce. And it's certainly something we need to be looking at. Now, from our operations, I do think it allows us to be a little bit more nimble, our members, in terms of digital marketing, in terms of communicating about what value they provide. But I think a lot still remains to be seen. And I think it's definitely a conversation we want to host at the conference.
Yep, exactly where I was going to go. I think this is definitely something that we want to get out in front of. We want to find out what our technology providers are doing with AI. How are they going to enhance their products and their offerings for our industry? Most assuredly, I can tell you now, we will be having discussions about AI and the integration of AI within technology in our industry at our conference. So if you want to know more about it, we're going to bring some thought leaders together on this topic and really, really try to educate, because I think it's an unknown, and it's a bit of a scary unknown, but I think the potential is limitless, and let's take advantage of it and learn it and incorporate it into our businesses.
Ben, I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I'll have to put that in Chat GPT and tell you what my thoughts are. I think it's great that we're going to talk about this. I think sometimes at conferences we end up preaching to the choir, and we tell people, we report out the news that frankly everyone in the audience is already expert enough to know. And I think when we start to actually move forward to like kind of to use a hockey analogy, where the puck is going, and we start to give people a glimpse around the corner, and tell them what skills they need to be thinking about, what technologies they need to adapt. I think that's where we can really unlock some really crazy big value for them. I think AI is one of those technologies. Maybe I think like where maybe blockchain was a bit overblown. I think AI is the real deal.
I totally agree.
You know what I mean? Like blockchain was like kind of one of those things 5 years ago. And yeah, I still think there's applications, right? I still think there's applications, but I mean, it never really found it. Chat GPT and AI, like we could pop open a chat box right now and just start, creating value right now, without the requirement of participation from anyone else in the supply chain. We can start to automate our own processes internally. So I think that is a skill where we could pull that bad boy up on the screen and start going at it, and then showing people the value and start to get those wheels turning, and then have people start to like really riff on the practical applications, like in the here and now, and then in the next year or two, to really prepare our folks. Because what I think is the benefit of going to the conference is sharing these best practices and coming away smarter, and then going back home and pollinating our organizations with these ideas and starting to work on them, and then put them in practice. If we wait another year, with the speed and the rate of innovation, right, that AI is going right now, it's like it's almost too late to wait a year to talk about this.
I like that title too, Where the Puck is Going, a discussion on the future of technology or something like that. But I'm going to steal that from you, Ben.
Yeah. Viva says use AI for RFP responses and tailored service proposals already today. You will love it.
Wow.
That's actually really good, because you get these RFPs, like 50-page RFPs. It's like, hey, throw that bad boy in the chat. Chat GPT. Hey.
Throw that bad boy in the chat GPT. I like it.
Come back tomorrow. That thing's done.
Well, that's why we was on the cutting edge, and they're going to be leaders. And that's the thing. We need to make sure that our people are communicating, understanding, and can compete in this new environment.
Jason's saying it's the cheat code. Yeah. Tom Trainer saying virtual surveys has probably reduced on-site survey time from 2 hours driving and walking through to 15 to 30 minutes. And Yembo has already had their AI surveying for a few years already. That's just a small part of relocation.
Yep.
Super interesting.
Talked about that. You and Brian and I talked about that just in the last few days about Yembo. Number one, the use of AI and how it's going to become more and more pervasive in their products, but in all the technology that's used in our industry.
And shout out to Yembo too, because I believe they're a gold sponsor of the conference too, right?
100%.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Here's another thing. I deal with companies that are also buying and selling companies in our space. We do M&A type of stuff. And a moving company might have a 2 to 4 time multiple, a traditional moving company. But if you add on EBITDA, on basically the profit of that business, but if you add a technology component to it, all of a sudden now it's 10 to 20 times top line revenue.
Yeah.
So that's a factor of like 20x, maybe more in value. So, if you think about it as a moving company, if you're thinking about succession planning, you need to really look at ways to increase the value, and contractual relationships and technology are the two things that.
Where else are you going to get financial updates like that? We can get a Wall Street update from Ben, IAM update. I mean, my God, Ben, the value added that this show provides.
People think I'm just a pretty face, Chuck, but for the price of a Bud Light, you can get massive financial intel.
There you go.
If that's not worth the cost of admission, I don't know what is, So anyway, but all right, I know we're running out of time here. I want to maybe just real quick kind of get a final thought here. Chuck, I'm going to ask you first, final word here, Chuck.
Okay. Well, the thing that I'm so excited about in the conference, we opened up our exhibit hall 3 weeks ago to the top level of our organization, our premier members. We sold our gold sponsors out in 15 minutes.
Wow.
We've already sold all of our silver sponsors. We've sold almost all of our bronze sponsors. We've got significant individual registrations already, and we are 2 months ahead of where we would normally be. The FOMO, the excitement about our conference is off the hinge, and I just can't wait to get to Toronto. It's a fabulous city. People need to register now. People need to get sponsorships. The opportunities are starting to just fly out the door. So again, the excitement around our conference, I'm hoping to top 2,000 attendees. Those are the paid attendees, and on. So if you're not there, you're behind the curve. Yep. Enterprise Database Gold Plus. So we've added 2 exceptional over-the-top sponsors. We're calling them Gold Plus. EDC jumped on it the first minute that the conference website was open. So thank you to EDC and all the other sponsors who stepped up and are putting their money where their mouth is.
And I want to encourage Eric Masadi. Yeah, shout out to EDC. And I want to encourage Eric Masadi. Eric's the president of Trailer Bridge that runs some. Yeah, they do some government stuff as well, and they run some really nice routes there.
In the Puerto Rico trade, I know. Yeah.
Yep, and they also do some truckload business too, and some LTL as well. So, Eric, I'd love to have you come out.
Love to. We got a lot of members that utilize Trailer Bridge. There's no question about it.
Do we have spot for like an ocean container or an intermodal container or maybe a chassis situation? We got spot.
We're going to be throwing a few trucks up in that exhibit hall. I don't know. You give me a small ship. I'm ready to do it right now.
I love it. Viba's still riffing on this AI thing. He's saying maybe we can facilitate a live session where IAM AI responds to any questions asked from a client audience. Suggests to do a lot of practical sessions at IAM in Toronto. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Drink on Ben. Yes, don't spill your drink on me.
I might put Viba to work on that.
Let's put Viba to work. All right, he's way too comfortable out there.
He doesn't have enough to do.
Yeah. You know what?
I like that honestly, drink on Ben, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's bring that back.
Yeah, let's just bring that back. You know what? And before we get Brian's final thought here, Ernie, you know what, Ernie, my bad. I shouldn't have said that about drivers before. So I'm going to give you the final question here. Ernie's saying, what is the perspective of AI and how it relates to the labor resource?
Obviously, it can't relate to the labor resource, but maybe it can relate to communicating with a community that there are opportunities available for labor. And so how do we utilize that to communicate and find those individuals who have an interest in getting involved in our industry? You're right. But until we get those robots, until we get that Star Trek beam thing going, there's no replacing the human in that environment.
Chuck, I'm going to take a slightly different tack here. And by the way, somebody told me 2 days ago, the true value of Tesla is not in cars, not in rocket ships, but it's in the $20,000 humanoid robots that they're going to be producing. Just throwing that at you. But no, actually, I think that from a labor standpoint, how we source labor, I think AI could be, if I, instead of putting on a instead of putting on a Facebook group, hey, I need 2 guys to load 8,000 pounds in Hammond, Louisiana. What if I put into ChatGPT, hey, I need 2 people who have passed background checks, have the proper authority codes, whatever, and who are IAM trusted, right? To show up in Hammond, Louisiana, to do 8,000 pounds, and it gives me a list. And then if it starts to reach out to those folks via SMS, text message, and phone calls, even because now you can have them speak, that could be interesting, right? So just throwing that out there. Crazy. Sorry, Brian, I'm going to, without further ado, I'm going to give you the final word here. I know we're slightly over time here. Brian, thoughts?
Well, it's Friday night. I'm not going to keep you all. I'm very excited to see everybody in Toronto. Chuck says everything as eloquently as it can be said. So that's all I want to do is see as many of you in Toronto. That's the value of this job, is all the relationships, the friendships, the people I get to work for and with. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. Thank you, Ben, for the opportunity. You always give it to me. I was a little disappointed. I think I've been on this show, I don't know, 87,000 times. And in your new intro you got, I didn't see one picture of me. I mean, I don't know. That was hurtful, but I'll recover.
Do we have to redo the intro to get Chuck's face on there? Or
just saying, man.
He holds a grudge.
I was looking.
All right. I'll take that under advisement, Chuck. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, everybody who tuned in on a Friday during the Arsenal game of all times to be here with us. I'm super pumped about the IAM conference in Toronto in October. Super pumped. Go to IAMmeetings.com to get more information, register, sponsor. The sponsorships are going hot cakes, the hottest cakes. So get on there and get that done. And I will see you all there. I can't wait, y'all. Just can't wait.
It'll be great.
Thank you.